Today, the computer has become a necessity in almost every home. With the amount of hacking and identity theft that's going around, it seems like a top priority ought to be to add as much security as you can to your home computer. With that, I'd like to review a few tips for you. With that, let's move right on to the top 5 home computer security precautions by Don Brenner. As a home computer user, the tools that you have available for security are limited by several things. Number one would be the cost for the use of these tools and the skills of the user himself. So with that, these are pretty fundamental and easy to enumerate. They would be as follows. 1. Use a router. 2. Turn it off when it's not in use. 3 would keep your Windows program updated. 4. Use an antivirus program and keep it up to date. And number 5, minimize internet software inbreeding. First thing we can say is use a router. Don't connect a home computer directly to a broadband internet connection. It's because the network plug was designed for a trusted network, and the router cannot be directly attacked. Most likely, by using the router, the computer will be undetectable. And next and finally, with regard to the router, change the router password. You can write that password on the label and stick it to the bottom of the router, and that will help a lot. The next tip we can say is turn the computer off. Today there's no reason to keep a computer on full time. There was an old school of thought that said that computers that were turned off and on, the thermal wear would cause the computer parts to fail. That's no longer the case. Besides that, you can save electricity and you can save the disk wear and tear because that's a mechanical part. So remember, turn it off. Next, let's remember to keep your Windows program updated. Windows traditionally was riddled with security flaws, and the old versions are no longer supported. Might also point out that malicious programmers often target Microsoft. There's a love-hate relationship between them, and it goes back a long time. The new versions almost automatically update all the time. The older versions are no longer supported. Data loss can be very expensive, so the last thing we want is a computer crash because you didn't keep the Windows program updated. The next consideration would be to use an antivirus program and to keep it regularly updated. This is particularly important if you use Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft Internet Explorer. Antivirus programs compare patterns of viruses, and new viruses come out all the time and in very frequent flavors. Let's remember too that data loss or identity theft is expensive and very time consuming when you have to reload programs. One of the best freely available antivirus programs is AVG, and it's cheap to support, so use it and support it. Pay for it, that is. The last of the tips that I'd like to pass on to you today is to minimize internet software inbreeding. What do I mean by that? Well, Microsoft was designed to be more convenient than secure. All of the components of the program interoperate, so it does things automatically, and it can reach back into some of the things that you use. Use a simple email client. By that I mean avoid Microsoft Outlook, and that really comes back to because of that interacting among the various components of the program. You can use a service such as Gmail, or preferably use webmail, and webmail does not load the email itself onto your computer. So if it doesn't get into the computer, it can't really mess things up too badly. Also use an independent browser, and that's for the same reason. The Internet Explorer interacts with the Microsoft Windows, and so by using an independent browser, you can use Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome, either one of which are good. You can avoid some of that interaction, which could cause things to screw up a bit. So that pretty much does it, and I hope you'll find these things useful and that you will put them to good use and hopefully save yourself some grief and time and a little bit of money too.